little bit tonight about who we are and what makes us different, right? Where do we fit in this mortgage space? Where do we fit in this mortgage space? I figured I could start off talking a little bit about my story. I've been doing this for about 7+ years or so. It's funny because my background is in engineering, right? So I got my degree in civil engineering, and I did zero research as to how much a starting engineer makes. And so I graduated from college at 30. I was already married. I had a couple young kids, and I just wasn't making ends meet in that particular career field. I kind of started late, and they say that we're motivated by one of two things, right? Inspiration or desperation. And I got pretty desperate financially. My mentor always said, I had pennies in my pocket, no money in the bank, and I was behind on my promises. And then I ended up going to try and do a refinance. We had our house, and we met with an awesome loan officer who ended up changing the trajectory of my life. His name was David. He worked with Summit Funding. And I just loved how David presented himself. He was professional, had his little suit and tie on, just very personable. And so we did the whole refinance, went through docs, we were all set to go. And he ends up saying something at the end of this little appointment we had to change things for me. He said, Doug, you seem like a smart guy. You look pretty driven. Have you ever considered being a mortgage loan officer? And he didn't know it, like I said, but he kind of lit a fire in me that day because he's like, I'm a loan officer. We can make 6 to 7 figures. We can show you how to get there. And ultimately, I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I started to become obsessed about it. And my wife was not super excited about the prospect of me leaving our stable engineering, 8-year degree to get into finance. But something in me was like, you can make something of yourself. Because ultimately, real estate's kind of a powerful vehicle to be a part of, right? 90% of the wealthiest people in the United States got there via real estate as their vehicle, right? Whether it's directly in the industry as maybe a realtor or as a loan officer like us, or just as an investor. And there's a couple of reasons for this. I think the biggest is there's really no ceiling to your earnings potential in real estate, right? I mean, you work as a civil engineer, there's kind of a cap, right? Even as a doctor, you work and there's kind of a cap. But in real estate, your work ethic can take you as high as you want to go. There are 7-figure earners that are loan officers, that are realtors, or just investors. I think the second reason is because when you're moving commodities that are worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, it can be pretty lucrative to have a little piece of that, right? On the lending side or the realtor side. And so ultimately, guys, growing up, I came to see that I loved being a provider, and I wasn't really making the ends meet at the time. And my philosophy growing up was, as long as I worked hard enough, I'd always provide for my family, right? I'd always make ends meet. But as I got older, I realized that making a really good living isn't just about working hard, right? You see time and time again, 2 people working side by side. They're both working just as hard as each other, but one person's making substantially more than the other. So it's not just about working hard when you want to be successful. It's about working smart. It's about asking that question, how hard is my hard work working for me, right? And investing your efforts where they're going to get the biggest return. And real estate lending is one of those industries that has a very high rate of return. So that being said, right, fast forward to PWM, who we are, where we fit in with this lending space. So my business partner, Robert, and I got together a couple years ago, and we decided to build PWM based on four unique pillars that combined make us entirely unique from anybody else. And so I'd like to share the first 3 pillars, and then my business partner, Robert, is actually going to share the last kind of fun pillar. So the 4 pillars that we're going to kind of break down for you guys tonight is, number 1, we're an online cloud-based company. Number 2, we're a mortgage broker. We're a mortgage broker proudly. I'm going to talk about what that means for those of you who are new and don't understand what a broker is. Pillar number 3 is training. Training is the backbone behind everything we do. We're kind of training snobs at PWM. And then the last pillar that Mr. Robert's going to talk about is the ownership pillar. That's the fun pillar. That's the pillar that wouldn't exist without the first 3. And so I kind of want to start with pillar number 1. So the first pillar is that we're an online cloud-based company. Still today you see so many traditional banks that have the big fancy building to wow the client in, right? But what comes with the big fancy building is this giant ball and chain of an overhead that you've got to keep up with, right? You've got the lease agreement on the facility. You got the internet systems and the front desk and the phone systems and the janitorial staff and all of this overhead that eventually gets passed along to the client in terms of higher rates and fees on the product they're getting. Right? And then you got these online guys that came out years ago, and they're just killing the big banks in terms of pricing. One of the biggest reasons is because they cut out all this excess overhead. At the end of the day, it boils down to a bank's margins, right? So I heard Robert use this example, but it's kind of like hot off the press, a Snickers bar costs the same for everybody, right? But if you buy that Snickers bar at Disney World, it's going to be a certain price. If you buy it at the gas station, it's probably going to be a lot less. And if you get it at Costco wholesale, it's going to be a lot less than that. Because every different entity has their markups. And the more effort and energy you put into ultimately offering that product, the higher the markups. And so what we did when we got together is we thought, man, how can we reduce our markups to where we can offer a darn near wholesale rate to our clients and also have this aggressive profit share model that Robert's going to talk about. So ultimately the decision was to go online. Guys, as technology increases, borrowers are only going to become more and more aware of a good deal versus a bad deal. So the future is trimming your margins. The future is giving you that good deal, or you're going to end up always losing a percentage of the business. So ultimately, that's why we are predominantly an online cloud-based company. And there's a lot of advantages to that, not only to the borrower, but to the loan officer, right? I'm going to talk about that a little bit when it comes to the third pillar, which is training. So the first pillar is we're an online cloud-based company. Bottom line, guys, the way we're able to offer the pricing we do is because we have such small margins. We've cut out all that overhead. Pillar number two is that we're a mortgage broker. So I want to talk about what broker means versus direct lender. How many of you guys are like brand new to lending? Raise your hands just so I can kind of, okay, so we got a few. We got a few, you guys. Okay, so as a loan officer, I get my license. I'm all excited, right? And I can go to work for one of two entities. I can go to work for a direct lender, or I can go to work for a mortgage broker. So a direct lender means I work with one bank. I'm handcuffed to what that bank can and cannot offer, right? So if I work for Wells Fargo, I work for Chase, or I work for Golden One, I can only offer what that bank has to offer, right? My products stop and end with that bank. If their pricing's good, I'm gonna have a good month. If they decide to raise their rates, man, I'm gonna have a bad month because they don't want mortgages that month, right? Whereas in the brokered world, there's no limit to how many banks we can work with, right? We work with a lot of different banks right now currently. And that allows you to have a lot more flexibility when it comes to the products you can offer and a lot better pricing because now you have this competition on your side of the fence. Okay, so to illustrate the power of this model, I want to talk about kind of my upbringing in mortgage. So when I first started, the first half of my career, I worked as a direct lender. So as a direct lender, I had one bank. It was easy, right? We got our set programs we can offer, but no matter how smooth you are, your energy, they're gonna cut you off and be like, bro, I just want to know what your rate is. I don't care about all that stuff. Just tell me how much you're charging me, right? There's that kind of customer. And then there's a third of the pie that really cares about service. And they want to feel good around you. They want to feel like you're going to take care of them, right? And then you got a third of the pie that can be convinced either way. And as a direct lender with high rates, there was really only 2/3 of the pie I had access to. I got real good at convincing people why you want my high rate, right? Because I was going to give you service like no one else, right? And there was that third that I could just get every time because of who I was and the kind of product I was offering. But that third of the pie at the top, I could never touch. And then about 3 years in, I ended up losing a deal to a broker. I actually lost it to my business partner, Robert, who's now my business partner. So I pre-approved somebody. I'll never forget. I met with them late on a Friday night. And I really just connected with these people. Like emotionally, we just like got each other, right? So I sent them their pre-approval. We're all excited. And I call my pre-approvals every week just to kind of see how the house search is coming. Because in our industry, you pre-approve somebody, and then they got to go find a house before you get paid. So you don't want to kind of weaken that connection over time. So you're constantly following up. Follow-up is like my brand. And that's what I teach our loan officers how to do. Anyways, I'm following up with these people. And ultimately, they're like, Doug, we got some bad news. I'm like, what happened? They're like, we went with someone else. I said, well, why? And they said, dude, he was beating your rate by 0.5%. We couldn't get over that. And so rather than getting angry, which is what I usually got when I lose to the competition, I ended up getting curious. And I asked him, I said, well, who is this guy? The guy's name was Michael Barnett, and he worked for Elite Mortgage, which was Robert's shop. And he didn't know it, but I called Michael up the next day, and I was interviewing him to figure out what it's like to work on that side of the fence, because Michael was a broker, and I was a direct lender. A month later, I switched shops to the brokered world, and I could not have anticipated how much my business would explode when I could offer that same experience I was selling before, but at a better price with more products. And that's really what it boils down to, right? Your direct lenders, you end up working with one bank, you got one set of guidelines, they either can do it or they can't. And in the brokered world, you got a lot of banks, you got a lot of flexibility. And I'm sure you guys have heard the phrase, when the banks compete, the borrower wins. And every time you price a loan as a broker, the banks are competing for your business. And so if Home Point's rates go crazy one month, I'm not sending business to Home Point. I'm going to go over to UWM. If UWM is there, I'm going to go to SunWest, right? So you got options. And when you gain more and more experience, you can understand the different lender quarters and actually be able to be very effective regardless of the lender you send it to. Okay, so ultimately, guys, that's the big difference between the broker and the direct lender model. You know, the last example I like to use is, I mean, imagine you're not selling money. Let's say you're selling cars, car industry guys I know are out here. And let's say that all you can sell is one brand. Okay, so you work for Hyundai, right? Great brand. I've owned Hyundais before, right? But let's say that's all you can sell. So you get this nice young couple and they come and they're like, man, Doug, we want a super fast car. And I'm like, man, you want the Hyundai Sonata. That thing is crazy fast. They're like, well, what about this research we did on Ferrari over here? I mean, this looks pretty fast. I'm like, no, you don't want Ferrari. You want the Hyundai Sonata. That thing's smoking fast. You see, the problem is one brand is never going to be the best at everything, right? Car brands, just like banks, do a couple things well, and everything else is just okay. And as a broker, you can take the good a bank has to offer, and you can leave all the rest. Right? You're competitive, we'll use you, you're not, we're not going to go with this type of go around. And that offers a lot more flexibility to be able to accommodate the uniqueness of every different borrower that comes across your desk. Right? So if you had a tough year last year and you own your own business, we can look at bank statement loans, we can look at investor no income loans, we can look at DSCR programs. There's so many outside of the box programs you have access to as a loan officer. Now, as a new loan officer, not to overwhelm you, we're not going to say, here's all our 50 lenders, understand all their portals. We're going to start out with a few so you can kind of master those, and then you can graduate your way into maybe some of the non-QM programs that are a little more challenging. But the option is there, and that progression, that evolution of, as a loan officer, being able to offer more programs is at your fingertips. So pillar number 2 is that we're an online, we're a mortgage broker. Pillar number 3 is like, it's like my baby, my passion, and it's training. I love training. You see, when I got into this industry and David King said, hey, maybe you should be a loan officer, he had this CD that I burned, like I pirated, right? And it was the CD that had this top producing $1 million earning loan officer, and he put together a basic strategy of how he got there. So I burned the CD and I listened to it over and over again, and I transcribed it word for word. I'd get up at 4:30 in the morning, I'd be rehearsing his scripts and doing it over and getting over it because that's all I had. But I took what he was offering and I structured a whole system around it. And I started to perfect that system over time. And so ultimately, guys, I wish there was someone in the industry, when I got in the industry, that had the level of success I wanted, and they were willing to show me how to get there without charging me $4 grand a month. See, David was paying $3 or $4 grand a month for those CDs. I didn't have $3 or $4 grand a month, right? So I was like trying to get what I could from him and do what I could for free. And that's the challenge in the industry right now, is there is a massive gap between, hey, I passed my test, I'm super excited, to I know exactly how to be an effective loan officer and make $600,000 a year. There's a big gap there, right? And so at PWM, through our training, we fill up that gap. We want to make sure that you guys understand how to effectively organize your day, organize your week, talk to a business partner, right? I'm a big fan of martial arts. Jiu-jitsu is kind of my big discipline. And I remember when I started jiu-jitsu a year or so ago, I remember going and getting my butt kicked every single day. Like, these guys were choking me out, smothering me on the mat, these sweaty guys that stank. I hated it, right? But I kept going. And the reason I kept going is because I had a black belt instructor. And every day he was showing me, Doug, no, you want to turn your legs this way, right? This is how you guard against that particular choke, right? And over time, I started to get better because I had this expert instructor that was showing me how to do it right. And ultimately, after a couple months, I got my first submission. I was so excited, right? And then years later, I get a submission every time I roll with somebody because I know what to look for. I know how to protect myself because I have the right training. Now, at PWM, we have what I would call black belt loan officers, right? My definition of a black belt loan officer is anybody that's a top 1% earner in the U.S. and they got there just pushing loans is a black belt loan officer, right? You're doing something on a level that's worth replicating. You're winning on a level that's worth sharing with other people, right? And we've got these black belt loan officers. We want to train you on how to effectively pre-approve somebody, right? We want to train you on how to effectively manage the escrow process to where everybody has a great experience. We want to train you on how to talk to business partners. That's how I got big. That's how the big guys do it. The big guys don't get big by being handed leads. If you get handed a lead, you're making pennies on the dollar to what you could potentially make. The majority of it goes to the company that generated the lead. And those leads are attached to the company. They're not attached to you. But when we teach you how to self-gen, man, you could be working for PWM or wherever, and your business will follow you. Because the people that are sending you business, they're doing it because they like you. It's not because they saw a commercial online. It's not because, that they didn't see a commercial somewhere. They like you, they bought you. And that is so much more powerful because you can make dollars on the penny compared to the call center guys that they're quick and speedy leads every day, right? And that's Insta business, right? And you can close 20 or 30 transactions a month, but when you're only getting paid a couple $100 per transaction, you cap out at what you can make. Doesn't matter how much business you have, you're never going to make more than $60,000 or $70,000, right? Now my first year, that's about what I made, $66,000, I believe. Now I was working so hard, but year 2, I doubled that. And then year 2, I double what I made, or year 3, I double what I made in year 2. And it just kept doubling, right? Because I had this system of creating self-gen leads. And that's what we teach. It's a system that takes a little longer, but empowers the loan officer to truly create their own business, right? My system was I cold called 30 new agents every Monday, banging out new calls. And from those 30, because it's sales, I would get 2 that would say, yeah, I'll meet with you, sure. And I meet with them, I'd be all excited. Here's what I can do to help you grow your business, right? And of those 2 appointments a week, I might get 1 that actually gave me business, right? But that's 1 new appointment every week. That's 4 new business partners every month. That's 48 new business partners every year. You keep timesing that, and pretty soon you have hundreds of business partners that are sending you deals, right? That's when you come harvest time, you're hiring help because you just can't keep up with it all. That's what we teach you how to do in our advanced loan officer training. We teach you how to self-gen. Because self-gen is where the real money is. It takes longer to generate the machine, but when the machine gets going, man, it's not going to stop. So we can show you the strategies, and I'm going to put this out there, right? But you got to bring the ambition. You got to bring the hunger. I cannot teach hunger, right? I mean, you think about it, people who don't have the body they want. It's not because they don't know what they're supposed to be doing. They just don't want to do it. Right? There's a big difference, right? And so it's the same thing here. We will show you the formula to be successful, but you got to be aggressive and take it. And I personally head our weekly meetings, and I get to work with our mentees, and we get to talk to them and role play with them and script to help them overcome objections. And that's how you get better. You got to step up in training and be like, hey, I want some help. This is what I'm running into. And that's how we're going to help you perfect your business. So guys, those are the first 3 pillars that I wanted to kind of talk about right before I turn the time over to Mr. Robert. So we are an online cloud-based company. We designed it that way so we create better pricing for our customers. We're a broker, so we're not just a one-trick pony. We got a lot of different products we can offer. And the training, guys, is the backbone behind everything we do. Man, having the right training, it's like your grandma took 20 years to perfect the perfect recipe to chocolate cake, right? And you're not a baker, but she hands you the recipe. How many times can you replicate that perfect chocolate cake? And 10 times out of 10, you just got to follow the instructions. And that's what I wish I had when I first started out, and that's what we're giving to you for free. Right? All of our training's online, and that's the great thing about being a cloud-based company. We got people on our training from Texas, from Colorado, from California, and they're all just dialing into the Zoom meeting, and we talk and we train and we have back and forth, and they get better. Okay? So that being said, I want to introduce my business partner, Robert. So Robert is the fuel behind everything we do. I was just a big producer, right, in California. Robert came to me, he's like, Doug, I want you to train people on how to do what you did. That's what I want you to do. I want you to be the head trainer, show loan officers how to produce like you do. I'm like, cool, I'll do it. But Robert is like the brains behind everything. He owns multiple businesses. He owns a Berkshire Hathaway building with over 400 agents, a very successful businessman, and I'm excited to turn the time over to him. So let's welcome in Robert. How is everyone? Great. Good. You know, one of the wonderful things about what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about ownership.
One of the things that I see is I see us getting older every single day. And I see us in a position where the moment we stop working, we stop making money. And that's a tough situation to be in, to be honest with you. That's a tough situation to be in, because what happens tomorrow, we never know. COVID happened 2 years ago. Who would have thought we would have been staying home for the last 2 years? All right? Accident can happen any single day, even the craziest accidents. And I know we're in Florida here, and unfortunately, a huge accident happened. What I'm trying to say is you cannot predict tomorrow, but what I can predict is I can predict that whether I'm here on this planet or I'm on another planet or I'm 6 foot under the ground, I could predict that right now I have 450 realtors that work with me at Berkshire Hathaway. I have another 400 or so loan officers that work for me at the Elite Mortgage and at PWM. And I could predict that even if I was not here on this planet, I predict that my company will still be alive, and I predict that my income for my wife and my kids will still be the same. Okay? That I can predict. The thing is that I live to make sure that the moment I had my first kid, my second, now I had my fourth kid, I want to make sure that they have a roof over their head and they have food on the table, regardless if I am alive or not. That's the principle of owning a business. I just got lucky enough to fall into owning a business when I was 20. So I've been in this business since I was 20 years old by accident. And I want to talk to you about that, because some of you are here by accident. Okay? We did not grow up saying one day I'm going to be a realtor or a loan officer. I grew up thinking I was going to be a doctor, actually, or a superhero or an NBA basketball player. Now, I did not become an NBA basketball player, even though I'm very good at basketball. I did not become a superhero because that's not reality, okay? And I did not become a doctor, not because I didn't want to become a doctor. Being an only child with two parents who are doctors, and I'm Asian, right? Guess what I was supposed to be brought up to be? A doctor. I heard the word doctor my whole entire life. One day you'll be a doctor. So what did I do? I got the best grades in school. I thought I was going to be a doctor. I graduated second in my class in a huge school, and I went to a very good school at Davis. Even though I got into a lot of schools, but I went to Davis because it was close to home. And I was pre-med. I accidentally got into real estate. Okay? Some of you are here today by accident. But it doesn't mean this could be the best thing you ever do in your life. Okay, because it was the best thing I ever did in my life. See, my mom just told me, and that's her biggest mistake, okay? Is that she told me when I was 18 years old, stop working at Safeway. I was always a worker. And I always worked hard. And I was working graveyard shift at Davis. And I was so tired in the mornings when I had to go to class, only on 2 or 3 hours of sleep. So she said, why don't you get your real estate license? We're starting to buy these little investment fixer-uppers, and you can just sell homes to us. The money that you would make on the commissions would be about the same you would make on working at Safeway, and you don't have to work so hard. And I thought it was a good idea, so I went and got my license. The funny thing is I got my license with a couple of my friends, and they both quit, but I still went. So you got to know about life. See, that's happens. Of all the people that you go on that road together with, they sometimes don't stay on that road with you, okay? And so they quit. I just pushed ahead and I got my license, and I ended up liking it. I liked it so much that, my second year in the real estate industry, I actually did really good. I specialized in government foreclosure homes, and during that time there was a lot of those, and I got really good at what I did. And I got so good at what I did, I became one of the top producers in the state that I retired my own broker. I retired my own boss. He goes, Robert, you did so well for me. We made so much money off you that now we're going to retire. And I said, well, then where the heck am I going to work? And so I had a choice. I said, okay, well, I'm going to find another company to work for, or you know what? He's retired. I retired him. Maybe I should start my own company. But starting my own company meant leaving school. And boy, leaving pre-med school at one of the top universities in America, it's like Bill Gates leaving Harvard to start his own company called Microsoft, right? But I'm obviously not Bill Gates. But the thing was that I did a little bit of math. And that's what I'm talking about today, okay? Because I did a little bit of math. I said, you know what? Every single time I close a deal for my broker, I'm making him a couple $1,000s. Okay, I'm making him a couple $1,000s. And if I became a doctor and I saw what my parents were making, and back in those days, you know, they were making like $150,000, $120,000 a year, $10,000 a month. And I said to myself, every time I close a deal, I make my broker a couple $1,000s. And if I started my own company and I had agents that came and worked for my company, if I had an agent that worked for my company and every time they closed a deal, I made $2,000 and they only closed one deal a month, I'd only have to have 5 people working for my company to make what I would make if I was a doctor. And of course, I'm closing my own deals. And so when I sat down and did the math, I said, hey, if I started a company and I hired 5 people to come work for my company, then I could still do school part-time. I still do school part-time. I'd have 5 people working for my company. And between the 5 of them, I'd be able to make $10,000 a month. And that's the same income I would make 6, 7, 8 years from now when I graduated from med school and went through my residency. So do I want to make that kind of money now, or do I want to wait 7 more years of going to school to make that kind of money? And it was funny because I did the math in an econ class at 7 p.m. at night at my econ lab at Davis. And that night I made a decision. And sometimes the most important thing that we have to make in ourselves is make and decide. We have to make a decision. Like tonight, you might have to make a decision if you want to be part of our company or not, okay? And so I made a decision saying, you know what? This starting my own company kind of thing actually sounds like a pretty good idea. And I made a decision, and within a week, I went looking for office spaces. I took my broker's license. I went to do my course for brokers. And not long after that, I started my own company at age 20. Okay? And I broke the news to my parents saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to give school a little bit of a break. And they thought I was insane. But I did it. You know, I did it. You know, a few years later after that, I had hundreds of agents. I became Coldwell Banker. So currently I'm the owner of Berkshire Hathaway in my area. I have around 450 agents. I have another 300 or 400 loan officers, and we're doing very well. We're one of the top companies in the state there. But I've always owned my company since I was 20 or 21. And I understand what it's like to make the most powerful type of money on the planet. It's the type of money you make when it's called residual money. Residual money, it's your own business. People don't realize how valuable that is. Even Doug didn't realize until one day I sat and I told him, I said, guys, people spend their whole lives to find this thing called retirement. You know, people, they spend their whole lives trying to make a way to earn cash flow. You know, if you went to Florida and you bought a rental property in Florida, let me ask you something, because I'm in real estate. So believe it or not, when I think numbers when it comes to real estate. So let me ask you something. If you bought a rental property in Florida and it's $500,000, what are you renting that property out for? Huh? What? Rents of $5,000? No, like a home, a normal home for rent here, $2,500, right? I didn't think you were in San Francisco. Okay, so let's say $2,500. So let me ask you something. If you bought a $500,000 home cash, and you're renting it out for $2,500, you take out 25% for vacancy because homes do go vacant, and you take a little bit of percentage out for repair, property taxes, and utilities. You might be positive cash flow, $1,500, $2,000 a month. So you have to save $500,000 to buy something that gets you $2,000 a month in cash flow. That means you have to buy 2 of those $500,000 properties to get $4,000 or $4,000 a month in cash flow. And in what job Have you ever had where you have saved up $1 million in cash so you can create cash flow for yourself? In what job have you ever worked where you can save up $1 million in cash? Okay? Matter of fact, if you had $1 million in cash, in what investment can you guarantee yourself $4,000 or $5,000 a month in cash flow? Can you put in a stock and guarantee yourself a 5 or 6% annual return? No, you can lose money in stock. Okay? Can you put it in the bank and guarantee yourself 4, 5, 6% return? No. Bank is sometimes 1 or 2%. Getting money in the form of cash flow is actually very difficult. You know that we spend our lives with people telling us, hey, leave a nest egg for your kids, or leave a nest egg for your wife. Leave, if anything happens, buy at least $1 million life insurance policy. And I tell people, if you have younger kids, if you have a wife that doesn't really work, or a husband that needs your income to survive, and you bought a $1 million life insurance policy, do you realize that if you were to die and $1 million were to come into the lives of your family, that $1 million maximum is worth $2,000 or $3,000, $4,000 a month. You can't eat the $1 million. You can't live underneath $1 million. $1 million is just a number. And if you have to live off $1 million, then what investment vehicle, real estate, stock, whatever, what investment vehicle do you have that you can make $4,000 or $5,000 a month in cash flow? There's not many. The thing is that what the investment vehicle that I found when I was 20 years old was an investment vehicle called starting my own real estate company. My investment vehicle was owning a real estate operation and a mortgage operation. My investment vehicle meant I had 5 good people working for me. I could make up to $10,000, $5,000 to $10,000 a month off 5 good people that work for me. That was the math that I did in my head when I decided to start my own company. And I stumbled across that investment vehicle saying, hey, I'm just going to start a brokerage. And if one good agent can make me $1,000 a month, I only need 5 or 10 of those people to make me that $5,000 or $10,000 a month. And that formula has worked for me for all of these years. I'm almost 50. And for all of these years, almost all of my income has come from the wonderful, wonderful people that's worked for my company. Only this year did I say something. And this is why everyone here gets the benefit from this. Only last year before last, I created the PWM division of our company to give that ownership opportunity to everyone in our company. Because why? Because I started having agents that got to that age in their lives where they were dying. I attended 3 or 4 funerals a couple of years ago from a couple of agents that got cancer. One just died, just all of a sudden one got in an accident, okay? And I thought to myself at their funerals, I said, I don't want to blame it on that. But I said to myself, the one thing that I didn't do for a lot of my agents was I didn't give them the opportunity, even though they make a wonderful living, I didn't give them the opportunity to own a business. You see, the business itself, owning a real estate or mortgage company, it doesn't make you $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month. It can, but it can make you hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. Hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. And it can make you somewhere in between that. Okay? And the beauty of what you've heard today is Doug gave you the first 3 pillars, guys. He said, look, because we're online, we save money on things like electricity, and we save money on things like a lot of rent. We save money on things like staff. So what does that mean? It means like we're like the Uber of this industry. We're like the Amazon of this industry. It means that the more money gets saved from overhead costs, the better price we could give to our customers. The more we could save on our overhead costs, the more we could pay our loan officers. And because of that, we're very good at what we do. We're very good at what we do because we have so many options, like Amazon. We have everything under the sun. Whereas if you're just a store, you only have the things that can fit on your shelves. But we're online, so we have everything. We're a broker, we have everything. And our training is better. Why is our training better? It's because we have everything, we have to understand everything. If someone only has one thing, they don't have to understand much. If someone's working with one lender and they only have one set of guidelines, it's not hard to understand that. But we work with 50 lenders. We understand guidelines for 50 lenders. Who's better? I mean, if you're in the military and all you do is know how to shoot a gun, then you're in the front line, you might get shot. We're not here to train just the soldier. We're here to train the Navy SEAL. We want to train you land, sea, and air. You have to have better training with us because we're working with so many different lenders. We have no choice but to train you better. But the thing that we do that's very different, we give you the opportunity to own something. Don't you want to own a company that gives the clients the best possible rates and pay the loan officers the most? Don't you want to own a company that could do 9 out of every 10 loans? While other companies can do 1 or 2 out of every 10 loans? Okay? Don't you want to own a company where all the people that you bring to the company have the best training from the best people? Wouldn't you like to own something like that? It's like owning a piece of Costco. You know, you walk into a Costco, you look at how busy Costco is all the time, you say, man, I wish I owned Costco. Right? I know you've said it. Wouldn't it be great if I owned Costco? Or you're on Amazon, you're always buying something on Amazon, man, I wish I owned Amazon. You use Uber all the time. I wish I invested into Uber. You know, you sit there and you say, oh my God, Bitcoin's at $60,000 a share. I wish I bought Bitcoin when it was $100. Okay? Well, right now you're sitting in this room and you're saying, I wished I would have joined PWM at that very first meeting in Florida ever. See, right now, all the people in Florida, this is our very first meeting in Florida. Matter of fact, this is our pre-launch meeting in Florida. We are licensed in Florida probably within the next 2 to 4 weeks. And now we're looking for the people to help lead this in Florida, okay? We are the Bitcoin that is at $8 a share that we're putting it right in front of you and say, hey guys, now's a good time to jump in because you're the very first group that we've spoken to in this area, okay? There will be a day where we have 5,000 loan officers in Florida. And that day for you to join us and become a big part of our company, that day is going to be long gone 5 years from now. But that day is the first day today. You guys understand that? Sometimes in life it's about timing. Okay, sometimes in life it's about timing. Okay, and today is a very good day for people in Florida to be part of what we're doing. Okay, our system and our company is very simple. Okay, it's very simple to understand. Okay, if you come and you join us as a loan officer, we will train you to be the best. Okay, we will train you not how to become a call center grunt and us hand you these little mini leads that you basically get hung up on 100 times a day. That's not what we're training you to be. We're training you to be the absolute professional. We're training you to build relationships with realtors so that every single time they want to sell a home, they turn to you to get the money for their client. Because they know that you have 100 different loan programs to help their clients with. They know that we can close in less than 15 days if we have to. With the fastest closes, the cheapest rate, and all the products under the sun. They know that. But we have to train you to get them to know that. Who better to train you on that than the person who owns a big real estate company anyways, right? See, I'm an insider when it comes to that kind of stuff. I know what my agents need. So we give you technologies to win their business. We give you the products to win their business, okay? So if you're here because you want to be a wonderful loan officer, we're here to turn you into the best loan officer in the universe, hopefully, all right? Okay, but at the same time, if you're here because you want to be an owner of something, then one of the amazing things that we have is we have a system within our company that will help you have ownership in what we're doing. You see, I wear a different hat in my company. I'll challenge any one of you to ask me a loan question, okay? Because most of the questions you ask me, I don't know the answer to. I'm so bad. I'm so bad, to be honest, at looking at the new loan products right now. Yeah, I haven't seen Calyx Point in years. I don't know what it looks like. I definitely don't know what the new version of it looks like. Okay? If you ask me to read all the rates and guidelines, it's a little foggy for me right now. But if I walked into my office and you ask me where the copy machine is at my building, I own the whole entire building. But if you ask me where the copy machine is, I don't know where that is. And do not ask me how to use it, okay? And my office at my building, I don't have the key to it. If I get to the office, my staff is not there because I got there early. I have to wait outside until someone gets there, okay? Because I don't have a key to that thing, all right? Because that's just not my role in the company. You know what my role in the company is? Is to come to do little meetings like this, share people what our dream is, okay? And my role is to make sure I have a wonderful house for my realtors and loan officers to live. And every deal that closes, I make a little bit from. Every single deal. Hundreds and thousands of deals. Every single deal. I don't really have to work with clients. I don't have to show homes. I don't have to take loan applications. But what I do have to do is I have to be good to my people. And that's why I always pick up the phone. That's why I always support everyone. But that's my role. And if you think you can be good at that role, I'll teach you how to have your own company within my company. If you think you can be good at that role, okay? Because that role has a huge advantage. You know what the advantage is with that role? That role allows you to disconnect. That role allows you to make money whether you're here, Hawaii, Hong Kong, or in a hole in the ground, okay? That role is the role of owner. That's the type of income that you make when you're on this planet, and that's the kind of income that you make for your family when you're off this planet. You see? And so there's some of you in here that want to make a difference, and you're making a difference by making great income for your family and supporting them. But why don't you make a difference starting today where you could create a company that you can leave to them? Leave them 100, 200 loan officers. You know, my 20-year-old son joined our company, one of the very first people that joined our company when I started this. And you know, the crazy thing about it is my 20-year-old son right now has a team of close to 100 loan officers on his team right now. He asked me a couple of years ago, Dad, what do you do to be so successful? And I said, well, I mean, I just help people make a living. You know, and he wanted to do it. So when PWM started, this kid at the age of 19 decided, I'm just going to help Dad grow his company. I'm going to get some of my friends involved, and they're going to start recruiting. And you know, the funny thing is some of our top people of our company were brought in by these teenagers, including Ty. And so Ty was brought in by one of my son's team members. And now, half of the room here or more, if you were to join somewhere, you would join up under my son's team. You know, but the crazy thing about it is what 20-year-old who doesn't have experience in lending, all right, has a team of almost 100 loan officers, and every loan that's closed under his team, he makes money on. You know why that's possible? Is because it's Doug that trains every single loan officer that comes in the company. It's because our black belt loan officers are the ones that do all the training. Okay? It is my processing department that supports everyone, and my loan officer assistant that supports everyone. All my son had to do was say, hey, my dad has a good company, come work for us. That's it. That's all he had to do. Okay? We want to give everyone the opportunity to be able to become a wonderful loan officer for our company. I promise we'll train you well. I promise every one of you that we're going to give you the best lenders to work with in the country. Okay, you'll have the best loan programs with incredible pricing for your clients. I promise you that we'll have the best processing to make sure that your loan goes smoothly. I promise you we'll pay you quickly when your deal closes. All right, and And those things that the loan officer will promise you. But I promise you one thing in our company. I promise you the opportunity to own something. Some of you want it, some of you don't need it. Okay? But I promise you that opportunity to own something. Okay? Because I've owned something for the last 20-some years, and that's the best thing I ever did in my life. And we want to give that opportunity to you to do that too. Okay? You know, the last thing I'm going to talk about tonight is what makes the ownership in our company is so great, okay? And I might as well break that down for you a little bit. See, our company, the way our company is so powerful is we allow not only you to grow, but we allow the people that you bring in to have the same opportunity to grow their business too. And we allow your business to double up 7 times. There's something really big about that you don't understand. You know, there was like this saying in the past where there was this one joker that did this dare with this the king, and he said, if you gave me a grain of rice, all I want is a grain of rice from you, but I want you to double it at every single spot on the checkerboard. Okay? But by the time it got to the end of the checkerboard, he owned the whole kingdom. What I'm trying to say is us as individuals, there's only so much time in the world that we have. And there's not very much we can do if you are just a one-man shop. But the moment we give you the opportunity to do what I'm doing, then guess what happened? There's 25 people in the room tonight. And if I gave every single person in the room right now the ability to be a part owner in the company, I said, hey, in order to be a part owner in a company, you have to bring in 10 people to work for you. And if I have 20 people in the room, pretty soon out of nowhere, if all of you took this opportunity, then I would have 200 people working for me. Is that right? Because I gave 20 of you the opportunity to get to start your own little business within my company. It's called office within an office. But what if I gave those 200 people the same opportunity? And those 200 people only needed to bring 2 people in. Those 200 people become 400 people. And I gave those 400 people the same opportunity. 400 become 800. I give the same 800 people opportunity. 800 becomes 1,600. Okay, 1,600 to 3,200 become now 10, 14, 15,000 people in no time. There's something in this business called exponential growth. I learned it the hard way. Because at my office at Berkshire Hathaway, I only have 450 agents. Okay? I thought I was doing good. Around 10 years ago, I had around 350 agents. I've grown by sort of 100, 200 agents in the last 10 years. 10 years ago, there was a real estate company called EXP that was one of the competitors to Keller Williams. Some of the people, Keller Williams, left Keller Williams to start their own company. 10 years ago, that company had less than 20 people in the company. Okay? But the company kept on doubling because they kept on giving their people the opportunity to grow. Everybody. After 5 years, their company went from, after 3 years, their company went from like 20 people to 100 people. After 5 years, their company went from 100 people to like 500, 600, 700 people. And I sort of took notice, oh, good job. Good job. They went from nobody to 500 people. They're a little bit bigger than me. Good job. Am I impressed? I was impressed, but not that impressed. 3 years later, they have 30,000 people. And now in their 10th, 11th year in the business, they have 60,000 people in their company. EXP is one of the largest real estate companies in the world right now. Okay? And it told me something. It told me that, you know, if I was ever going to start a division of my mortgage company again, I would do it in the same way. I would give the people, the 100 people that joined me today, the ability to become 60,000 people 10 years from today. Okay? And so we started this about a year or so ago, and we're like 800 people strong now. Okay? But we're still in our first 1,000 people. Do you want to be with our company 10 years from now when we have 60,000 loan officers or you want to be with our company right now when we have 300 loan officers. Okay? Right now in Florida, we are at ground floor. We are starting, this is our very first meeting ever in Florida. This is technically our founding group here of members that we are starting here. Now, do I expect more from the people here? Of course I expect more from the people here. It's going to be 1,000 times harder to be part of our company right now than it will be 10 years from now when we already have 10,000 people in Florida. 5 years from now, it's going to be way easier than it is now because 2, 3, 4 years from now, we're going to have all types of proof. We're going to have all types of people with big, massive teams. And some of those massive teams will belong to you. Okay? We're just looking for those leaders that are going to help us start the group in Florida and get things going. Because every person that you talk to in Florida is going to be, I've never heard of this before, I'm in. 5, 6, 7 years from now, we're going to be a household name. You won't be able to give people an opportunity they haven't heard of before. Okay? And so the big advantage to you right now is you're on day one. It's like buying Bitcoin on day one. It's like investing into Uber on day one. It's like being part of Amazon the day they decided, hey, we're going to start Amazon here. Okay? It's going to be challenging, but it could be the best thing you ever do. Okay? So when I made a decision to start my company when I was 20, all right, today you guys are going to have to make some kind of decision. You know, you can decide that you want to be a loan officer for our company or decide it's not for you. It's fine. Okay? If you decide you want to be a loan officer, let us help you get your license. Let us help you sign up for the right classes. And then you can get licensed and be part of this wonderful company. You're going to train by wonderful, wonderful people like Mr. Doug Ross, one of the top producers in the state of California. You know, and of course our other top producers. We will promise to put you in a great boot camp. We're going to promise to make sure that you have a great mentor to work with, okay, and great support and processing. But we are also looking for those people that believe that one day you could own part of this. We are the eBay saying, hey, we're giving you an opportunity to open up the superstore that someone's never had before. We're going to be this person that started this company called Costco and say, hey guys, would you ever think about opening a Costco for yourself? All right. That's a decision. We're looking for people to say, hey, you know, Robert, I really want to step up here. I really want to make Florida work here. I think I could do it. I think once and for all, I could own something here. And if that's something you want to explore, then we want to explore that option with you. Okay, we want to explore that option with you. All right? Because we know exactly what we need to do in California. We just need to take our formula, like Doug's saying, grandma's recipe, and we just want to duplicate the recipe here. That's it. Okay? We could bring all the recipe, all the training we want. We just need to find people with desire and heart and a passion to want to own something. And if that's something you want to do, we're all for it. Okay? And for the people who are online, we're not only looking for people to do this with us in Florida or Arizona or Texas. We're really looking for people to do this all over the country. See, people ask me something. It's so funny. And this will be the last thing I say. We'll get the bingo tonight. The last thing people always ask me is, Robert, when are you coming to Atlanta? Robert, when are you coming to Virginia? Robert, when are you coming to Chicago? Or wherever, right? And I said, I'm coming wherever the leadership takes me. Does that make sense? I'm just not going to take a map, throw a dart at it, and randomly open something up. I'm going to go where leadership takes me. Where there is the desire to create a company like ours, that's where I'll go. Okay? As long as it makes sense. I'm not going to go there for one person. But you feel you have the right leadership, you feel you have the right people, you feel that you can get the right momentum, then I'll go. Because I'll tell you something, in a business like this, all we need are a few sparks. Okay, all we need are a few sparks, because the sparks, when it catches fire, it could turn into a blaze fast. Does that make sense? Okay, but we need the people to start the spark. So we're looking for spark plugs in our company. And where there's smoke, we will be there to help you fan it. Doug, myself, our leadership is willing to travel and to go places, rent places, and do what it takes to get the fire going. But when we leave, you better still start, keep fanning, okay? When we leave, we got to leave, and we still got to keep growing, so that gives us a very good reason to come back, okay? And keep building on that. And then pretty soon we'll invest into your area. We'll get more staff for your area. We'll put support and aim our processors in that area. We'll get all the best lenders in that area. And then pretty soon your area explodes. So tonight, when I say bye to everyone and bye to everyone who's online, I want to thank everyone for being here. I want to thank everyone online for being here. We are looking to have leaders step up into ownership. We're looking for great people to become wonderful loan officers for us. And if you feel that you could be that person, then don't sit back and wait for us to get to you. You call us to you, and then we'll try our best to make this work for you, okay? We are looking for the leadership type people who really, really want to take this opportunity to run with it. Does that make sense? Okay, and if that's the case, then I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. I need to get off with the people who are online. I want to thank everyone online for being online, and let's go out there and let's grow this, okay? So again, guys, thank you for being here. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And I'm going to close it online, and then I'll make a couple comments to this group. Hey, thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Robert.
Thanks, guys.